All right, 6:30. How's everybody this morning? Good. Doing very well. Thanks for asking, Chico. First one in a long time. Appreciate it. So this morning will be a little chilly, but it's gonna be a long, steady warm up over the next couple of days. So sugaring might be much appreciated. Loggers here might not like it so much, but so let's, the cold stretch is still out there. Before we really get ramped up, code of conduct: drive safely, defensively, and courteously are still our #1 incidents with vehicles is backing. We had a minor one last week, so it's prevalent. It's there. Really trigger that in your head anytime you're backing. Do a good check of your mirrors, your blind spots. Really do a good surveillance, because backing is still a very frequent flyer for us when it comes to incidents. So drive safely, defensively out there, to and from job sites, and just in your personal vehicle as well. So safety news: 278 without a recordable case, or without a case resulting from days away from work, I should say. So it's a good record. Something to keep striving for is keep those accidents down. Again, falls is really our most frequent flyer, is our falls, and then just kind of pinch points, nip points, identifying those potential hand injury types of things. And then last one is safety glasses. All right, anytime we're cutting, grinding, anytime there's a flying particulate potential, let's wear those safety glasses. We haven't had one that's been caused to a severe eye injury, but we've been pretty close a couple times. So we really need to make sure we're focusing on wearing your safety glasses. And sometimes your mind is focused on the task at hand. So don't be afraid to, you see it, just, hey, don't forget, wear safety glasses. Let's be each other's support. Be supportive with each other. If you see it, just remind them, hey, you're grinding, just throw safety glasses on. Our eyes are super, super sensitive and super important to our overall well-being. So those safety glasses are going to save you from a potential real serious eye injury. So
keep them handy.
Keep them handy. Exactly. Keep them handy. So this week, it's a good week just to talk about kind of our occupational noise exposure. I got a little video here of just kind of, it really talks about what occupation noise exposure does to our bodies and how hearing loss actually happens. And then we'll go over our safe work practices, and then into our monitoring as well. So I'll fire this video up. Hopefully I can get it to work properly.
I don't like it as much. I prefer the original.
That's it.
I'm an original kind of guy.
No, you do eat all of it.
Yeah, you got me. Yeah, I'm not sure who brought the cheesies.
What? No, not the cheesies.
What's that? Huh?
Oh my God, nothing. Never mind.
Wait, relationships are built on communication. Hearing loss can cause that communication to break down. But what causes hearing loss? When sound waves enter the ear, they vibrate the eardrum, causing fluid in the inner ear to move bundles of hair-like structures called stereocilia. These movements send electrical signals to the brain. That's basically how you hear. When you're exposed to loud or hazardous noise, the stereocilia get bent over and don't spring back. The more often you're exposed to loud or hazardous noise, the more damaged these structures become. That's noise-induced hearing loss, and it's permanent. So start wearing hearing protection now, and protect your hearing
So it kind of shows you what it can do to you. And the biggest thing there, it's not, your hearing never really comes back. So that's very, very important that we all identify these types of nose exposures that are out there on our job site. This is just from jobs, pictures of this week, where we have applications that might not quite meet the requirement, but they're right at that threshold. Driving sheets, pecking on ledge, running pneumatic power tools. Those types of situations, we're kind of right at that cup. Anytime you grab a flat plate tamp, you might see this symbol. A lot of tools that we have this symbol. That means that they've already done the case study for you. Anytime you're using those tools, you should wear hearing protection. So this symbol here is very, very important to make sure you're identifying those tasks. And a good rule of thumb is if you have to raise your voice or stand really close to someone to hear them, you're right around that threshold. That threshold is the next slide here. It's really all depends on your duration of time. So an 8-hour day, which, we're 8 to 10 hours a day, is about that 90 decibel meter. If short-term exposure, anytime we're running a lot of pneumatic tools, things like that, we could be in this 100, 105 threshold. And it always kind of going back to the hierarchy of controls with our work practice is when we can try to eliminate, physically remove it, a good substitution is buying newer, more technology sound type of tools, be quiet equipment and tools. An engineering control, again, we're trying to isolate people from the hazard, is to control the noise hazard itself. And administrative controls such as training and things like this, change the way people work around, is just knowing our exposure limits and doing more job rotation, things like that. And then our last line of defense when it comes to noise is just that personal protective equipment. Everything that you need is downstairs in the tool crib. We got ones that hook on your hard hat. We got the little squishies that you can throw right in. We have means and methods to do plenty of monitoring. We have a sound level meter that we can go out and do industrial hygienist tests on different tasks. With construction, it's peaks and valleys. So a lot of times we'll go out and we'll actually say, oh, hearing protection is not needed, but doesn't mean that you're not exposed. So it's a good reminder to always just throw on the hearing protection whenever you're in a kind of a noisy environment, because it's your hearing and it's your bodies that get affected. So it's very important that there's also some great apps available. NIOS makes a great one for Apple users. Android has a couple good ones, and those are just some quick checks. I mean, it's not a industrial hygienist case study where you're doing real exposure monitoring, but it's a quick check, then it'll get you a good idea. So put those apps on your, I think a lot of them are on our tablets, but it doesn't hurt. They're free. You throw them on and you can kind of know, oh, yeah, this is a pretty noisy environment. I should throw on some hearing protection, because we don't want to be like that guy in the video where you can't understand. It's really hard to keep relationships and be a part in your community and with your family when you really can't have a conversation because you can't hear anybody. You're trying to read lips and things like that. Is there any questions regarding noise exposures out there? We have everything that we need to identify those situations. I think everybody has a good idea of what those situations are out there. Driving sheets, driving caissons, things like that, very noisy. But anytime we're operating hand power tools, it's a good reminder, throw them in there, because it's just prolonged, it's a chronic exposure.
Hey Matt, this is kind of off topic.
Yeah.
I did see a safety issue this morning walking in here. I noticed there was an exit shoe size.
Yeah.
In this building.
Yeah.
Like 6 inches in diameter and 3 feet long. So that in some way is not going to be scratched.
Yeah, we could take care of that.
Heads up, it's been wicked cold. Now it's
Yep.
going to warm up, so we're going to have a lot of fall on night.
Yep. Thank you. We'll take care of it. With that said, I think I'll pass over to Ken for the company email.
Okay. Hard to dress up between outside and inside on days like today. Okay, no major announcements, just stay safe. And then for the project this week, we're profiling the Metro North Hudson line of the Wayside Communication and Signal System from Garrison to Poughkeepsie, New York, on the Hudson River. So we're contracting with the Banton Construction Company of North Haven, Connecticut. to perform pre-ripping for communications and signal improvements on the Metro North. That's a commuter line out of New York City. Our scope of work is to pre-rip 266,940 linear feet, plus or minus, right? Thought I put in there that was 50 miles. And then, so eventually they'll be plowing the cables to put in there. For right now, Banton has not selected anyone to do the cable work. I'm not quite sure why they haven't thought that far ahead. So we are using our Ditch Witch RT115 quad plow, and we're using GPS technology for as-built locating of the pre-rip path. So this location here from Garrison to Poughkeepsie says 50 miles. It's on right on the river, right along the river bank there. You can't see it in this picture, but probably in the next ones we will. No snow, is that? Yeah, that's also a good thing. It's amazing how much different the climate is, just what, 100, 200 miles south probably. So over here we get the river. We're looking north and doing some GPS measuring, the as-built, everything, and then operations up further. A lot of people watching. Metro North shoots north, right, and south right here from the city. As I said, if you go down to New York City for any reason, what I've done a couple of times when I had to go is go to Rensselaer and you take the train. You just sit on the train until you show up in New York City, which is a lot better than driving in. Yep. So
They're right near West Point.
yeah, West Point, the big Citadel, West Point, would be on the other side of the river. Quite an awesome thing. If you've never seen it, check it out. And we had a video, a YouTube video here. See if it works. To give you an idea of how quickly we move along and at 200.
It's good, Larry. It's running. It's off.
Yeah, looks sharp there. Always works pretty well on good firm ground level. We're anywhere from 48 to 52 inches, I think it is, for depth there. Well, I'm sure in 50 miles you're going to come across a lot of ground conditions. Let's see here, get back to the.
That's the,
Right, to here.
it's the,
This
yeah,
one's
there you go.
fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Back down there. So it's kind of a nice spot to be there, but also what's kind of distracting is if you're on the, if you want to get to the river, there's like railroads on both sides of the river. It's not like going down Winooski River and just, you know, walking off the roadway and going out fishing or something. It's like very much like a big barrier. So it goes like quite a ways up before you get away from the railroad, and they're on both sides, as I said. And it's not easy to cross either. The crossings are pretty spaced out along there. And from the photo archives, this is the a UVM project back probably 10 years ago for a seam line expansion and a lot of concrete sidewalk and surfaces. I think that was over the top of the pipe in some places. I can't recall.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was me. I think me and Mark did that job.
Yeah, I remember Mark on that too. Yeah. So, been a lot of changes over there since then. So that's what we got. Have a good, safe day out there. Be careful of ice and snow, and stay warm. Don't get a frostbite. Cover up. Who wants to? You wanna?